Just to kind of give you a quick recap of who we are as an organization, we're one of the, I would say, the largest data center networking experts in the world. We've been a storage networking provider for the last quite a few years, and depending on which part of the world you look at, we have a dominant market share of 60 to 70 to as high as about 80% of storage area network markets. 2 years back, what we did was we wanted to get into a larger end-to-end networking space, and hence we went in for a couple of key acquisitions, Foundry being one of the biggest one, which has helped us move into a space which is close to about a $40 billion networking market space. But how has this helped us? It's very clearly made us the price performance leader in the networking space. We today power 90% of the internet exchanges in the world. We are a dominant player into that segment, and with over 15,000 customers. My bread and butter is networking. Everything that we do is in the networking space. But there's a lot of innovation that we bring up, and I was having a chat with some of you guys. 5 to 10 years back, networking was just an infrastructure backbone. But today, the amount of business that's linked to networking, a lot of organizations are investing heavily to get their networks intelligent, get their networks faster, get their networks converged. But the idea is how do they make sure that their infrastructure backbone today forms a critical part of their business. Just to give you more insights from an Asia Pacific standpoint, some of you guys know about this. We made a $100 million investment into the region a quarter back. The idea is to really help organizations in Asia Pac and obviously in India in their cloud adoption process. We've been here for almost 11 years now, and very clearly there's a lot of investments that we've been doing in terms of growing the market, growing the industry. As I said, in this part of the market, we have close to about 85% plus market share in the storage area network. We have about close to 700 employees in the region today, a huge chunk of them in the development center out in Bangalore, which today touches upon every single product that we have at Brocade, but also in development, sales, marketing, finance, and all these various groups which we have invested. We've got about 19 locations operating in 11 countries. As I said, we've got the largest R&D center. We've got one of the largest logistics center out of Shenzhen. And we've got a shared financial services group sitting out of Singapore, which today handles finance for most part of the world other than the US. A huge customer base and a local partnership. And again, we take a lot of pride in this for those of you who have been following Brocade. Today, whether it's the large hardware partners, whether it's storage company, whether it's virtualization company, we have relationships with every single vendor of them. And a relationship, I don't mean just a pure distribution network, but it's more like a technology alliances. There's a joint R&D that we do. There's a lot of technology alliances that we do, and of course, there's a lot of go-to-market that we do together. And as I said, we're actively growing in this region. This is like a family portrait of some of our key customers in the region, but very clearly, we today have a presence in almost every segment of the industry, whether it's telecom, whether it's internet exchanges, whether it's manufacturing, aviation, BFSI, healthcare, automotive. Very clearly, we are investing and we are very much present in all these segments of the market. Closer home, again, a lot of those multinationals are also there in India, but again, some of the key names that we've taken, LIC, Airtel, Axis, BSNL, Punjab National Bank, Reliance, again, customers who are today using Brocade as a part of their network infrastructure. Just wanted to share this with you, and again, this is the latest DQ Top 20. Again, we've been rated as one of the highest growing companies in the region, in the country, and I'm sure the colleagues from DataQuest will be able to help you out. But this very clearly is catalyzes the fact that we've been investing and we've been growing in this part of the world. So with that, I'm going to digress a little bit to get into specifics of the objective of this session today. And again, you guys are the media folks and analyst folks. When you interact with customers, I'm sure you're also seeing a similar feedback that comes to you from the customers. Typical two challenges that every organization has. If you really look at it, he'll always have a business challenge. He, as in the CIO and a CEO, will always have an infrastructure limitation linked back to the business challenge. One is the economic uncertainty. Right? This is something which is always hanging on everybody's neck about where is the industry going to grow, at what rate is it going to grow. I think we are pretty fortunate in this part of the world. We're still seeing growth, we're still seeing a lot of investment happening. But again, when 40, 50, 60% of the global market is linked back to the US and the Europes, people are skeptical about how much of investment should I do today, what's going to happen to the US, should I invest today, and then the US, if there's a recession, what do I do? So there's a lot of uncertainty. Also links to the agility. So if I were to invest into a new business or a part of a new business in my existing business, do I want to do that tomorrow? Do I want to do that next quarter? Do I want to do it 1 year from today? So the whole linkage back to the agility on your business is a question mark, because you're skeptical about how should I invest, when should I invest, and what's the format of investment linked back to the uncertainty today. Last but not the least, I'm sure most of you folks have been listening to this, is this whole argument about what is capex against what is opex, and that's, I think, an ongoing conversation a lot of CIOs and CEOs will continue to have. What is the infrastructure that I need to invest right now, cash now? What is the infrastructure that I need to invest which could be going in an opex mode? Similarly, if we were to take a step and wear a technology hat or a CIO hat or a head of IT hat, changing patterns in traffic. One example over here, if I take the telecom segment, we're talking about 20 million subscribers which are being added. But is that going to continue? Will that increase to 30 million? Will that come down to 5 million? That's still a lot of gray areas which a lot of organizations in that segment will have. Whether you take the bank, okay, I want to bring a new value-added service. Let's take hypothetically an application which I want to take to every consumer. Will 50% of my consumers take it? Will 5% of my consumers take it? Again, that is a question mark which a lot of organizations have today. Link it back to the agility. So it goes back to the question, when should I invest? How should I invest? These are the challenges that I foresee. The last part is the distance restriction, and what we mean by this is, take a banking industry, for example. You would always have a question mark on which part of my consumer will this solution go to, or will this service go to. Will it reach my banking customer who is 65-year-old, non-technology savvy, sitting out of a tier 2 or a tier 3 city? Will this person be able to access that information? So there's always that restrictive challenges that organizations have when you're talking about services into the market. So what we did, as I said last weekend, was we made 3 key announcements, and I'm not going to get into the technology aspect, and yes, based on queries we can deep dive in, but just to make it a lot more generic, what we did was we brought out a new business model, and this is applicable across the world. We call it the Brocade network subscription, and I'm going to talk about it. About a year back and 6 to 7 months back, we made a lot of announcements in terms of some real key innovative technology products that we brought out. This is today the next wave, and I'm going to talk about that. And then we also, for a lack of a better word, are using technology and solutions like Lego boxes for customers to build and for vendors to build. And again, this is an innovation today in the market, and I'm going to talk about that too. So, take this as any traditional IT organization or traditional organization. Your IT networking needs will always be in a curved manner. So if you look at the segment, you will have a part where you would have bought, but your IT infrastructure or your networking infrastructure is not used. Then you will have a segment in your life cycle where you bought stuff, but the usage is actually going to be above your investment. Then you'll have a phase again where your investments are higher than what you use. So it leads to a point that at any given point of time, you as a CIO would have invested into networking and technology, but you are not seeing the need of it because you've over-invested. Then you might get into a situation where you've invested, but your usage has been higher. And this is, take any organization, any industry, any part of the world, literally, this is a challenge a lot of people are going through. So what we did was, we made this announcement called the Brocade network subscription model. It's a way to acquire what we call as cloud optimized network infrastructure on a monthly payment mode. So we're going back to the customer and saying, you can buy networking on a pay-per-use model, and we will work with you to understand what your networking needs are, to really spend time and come back and say, for a lack of a better word, it's like your electricity or it's like your water supply, right? You don't really need to figure out what is the hydraulic power plant which is pushing 50 megawatt of power into your house or into your locality, but you pay what you use. And this is basically what we're doing over here. This is critical because it's going to be flexible, it's open-ended, and I'm going to talk detail more about it, and it's a support model. So it's not that you've taken it and it's chapter closed and Brocade is going to walk away from the customer. This also links in with support. Very important for aligning business needs. What we mean by that is, what we really mean by that is organizations who are today have a networking capacity which changes depending on the need of the business. This maps in very well with that organization. So today he might come back and say, hey, listen, I need 100 gigabyte of a network running across my organization. This part I need 10 gigabyte, that part I need 1 gigabyte. And what we do over here is we work out a monthly subscription model where he really doesn't need to bother what box, what switch, what router he bought. He buys the networking space from us. No risk or minimal risk, and most importantly, there is no capital investment. What I'll also be doing is giving you a broad comparison between a hire purchase model and a capital model if the customer wants to buy directly. And by the way, that's also available. So this is yet another way that we're driving this into the market. So what this means is then with a Brocade network subscription model, his IT, his cost outflow for his networking needs suddenly gets mapped with what his actual needs are. And very clearly, so if today he needs to spend X amount of time on an X, Y amount of networking capacity, that's what he pays for. Tomorrow he has to pay delta X on a delta Y, that's what he pays for. So how is this going to change the way an organization is going to work? And if we've just taken a hypothetical view of a 6-year infrastructure purchase cycle. One is, if you really look at it, it's a monthly subscription fee, as I mentioned to you. It's not a lease. So again, as I said, there are comparisons that I'm going to talk about. There is no term commitment. And again, we're leaving this really open-ended for the customer. We're not tying that customer down and saying, hey, listen, you stuck with me for 3 years or 5 years or 1 year. It's an open-term commitment that we have. You can change your capacity as you need. Today you might say, this is what I need, this is what I pay. Tomorrow you say, my usage has come down, so I will pay the delta less. Day after tomorrow you might come back and say, my usage has gone up, and we will pay the delta Y. And we are making this today open to customers. And the last and the most important need is protection against obsolescence. If you really look at many of the large IT companies today, the biggest challenge they always have is new technologies. And again, going back to a famous guy who said this once, he says, technology has a shelf life of a banana, where the way things are changing, technology is going to be constantly changing. And today you don't want to be stuck with something which after 3 years you feel is suddenly obsolete. So when you use a model like this, you're not even bothered about what the boxes or what the technologies. You're just looking at the pure services coming in. So as I said, this is the way we're looking at a side-by-side comparison. If it is a purchase, cash down, it's capital purchase coming out of a capital budget. It's tied to your purchasing cycle. Support is optional, and then the challenge you have is unused equipment and obsolescence that you would have. A lease is a payment which is monthly, quarterly, or annual. It still comes out of a capital lease accounting. It can be an operating expense or a capital expense. It's tied to the lease term, and this is again a critical point over here. You're tied in for 1 year, 3 years, 5 years kind of a period. Support is optional, and again you have the same unused equipment, what happens after the lease, or the obsolescence challenges coming in. What we are bringing in with BNS is, as I said, a monthly subscription model. It comes, if you're a CFO, it comes out of your accounting or your operating expense. Your budget is out of your operating expense. It's decoupled from your acquisition cycle. So what it again goes back to say is, tomorrow if you invest into other hardware or you invest into something new, it's got no linkages back over here. It just goes back to say that, hey, listen, has your networking need increased? Then yes, we will pay a differential over here. If your networking need hasn't increased, it still continues as is today. Support is included, and there is, the way, as I said, we look at it, there's minimal risk involved. So who are the target market segments that we're looking at? So very clearly, everybody would benefit from this, but if I were to prioritize on the top 3 or top 4, these are the managed services guys. These guys, because very clearly their business is linked to their number of customers coming on board. So obviously that is something that's going to be changing on a regular model. Governments, depending on which part of the world you are, there will be some governments who are cash rich, who may not want to be, who will have the cash for down payment. There will be a set of organizations where their priority might be more from an education or a healthcare or that kind of a focus. So again, here is something that we could look at. Cloud and hosting providers, similar story as the service providers, depending on the number of new customers coming in and depending on the traffic within their organization, they could look at a model like this. And of course, large enterprises who would say, hey, listen, I want to use the capital expenditure for maybe an acquisition or something new. So I don't want to invest into technology right now, and I want to use a model like this, which is going to be going out of my monthly expenses. So what are the alternatives? So as I said, it helps organization in addressing their IT needs. It's flexible, it's linked back to alternatives which can help organizations map their IT networking needs with their business model, and more importantly, their financial needs. So moving on to the infrastructure limitations. So this is where I'm going to do a little bit of a technology spiel over here, but I won't deep dive too much. So what we did about a year back was we announced this whole new concept called Ethernet Fabric. And I'm not going to deep dive over here, but in a very macro level view, this is a technology or a vision which helps organizations to literally flatten their network. We literally the pioneers. We announced this a year back. The first product started shipping in November of last year, and it has a lot of technology advantages to it. And going back to the conversation I was having with some of you guys a little while back, networking has reached a phase where today customers need that level of intelligence. They need the level of the innovation that needs to come in, because it's directly linked to the model. It's just not a back-end set of cables and hubs and switches which are running anymore. How do you bring in intelligence? How do you bring in that level of protocol by which I can manage traffic? What do I do if the network goes down in one space? What do I do if I want to have multi-level speeds in a network? What do I do if I need to converge all these networks? So there's a lot of innovation which is going into it. So what Ethernet Fabric does today is it literally flattens, and I mean it in a physical way, flattens the environment by which an organization makes it very easy to manage that network and also to scale and bring in a lot of things like optimization, things like intelligence levels, things like convergence into it, and brings this out. Why is this important today? Because as I said, when you talk about the cloud, which is the most important buzzword today in the market, we're talking about virtualization of a data center, and then you take it to the cloud. What we're talking about here is the first level, which is virtualization of the network. That's what you do first before you start virtualizing the data center and virtualization of the environment. So things like that is where the Ethernet Fabric comes into place. So we announced this, as I said, last year. We started shipping it in 2010. I think the most important point is we're launching the version 2 of it today. The good part is today the whole industry is taken off. All our nearest competitors are all talking about Ethernet Fabric in different form of the other. But ours and some of the product, most of the products are still not out. Some of the products are beginning to come out. In our case, version 2 of the product is coming out. Family portrait of a set of products that are over here, but again, as I said, I really don't want to get into details. But if I look at, just to highlight a point over here, which is point number 3, it basically helps organizations to have multi-protocol connectivity on their network. Huge advantage again today. And these are some of the things that we are bringing in. And again, last point, superior density, higher level of performance, higher performance, power efficiency, latency, and most importantly, size does matter. So we're looking at 1U, 2U kind of a box, which are powerhouses which are being launched here. The other important thing that we're bringing over here is what we call as the BNA, which is a Brocade Network Advisor. So again, when your network manager today looks at a network, the challenge he has is he has to look at a storage area network, he will have to look at a network attached storage, he will have to look at a local area network and manage them all separately. What we're doing over here is we're unifying the whole thing together. So imagine as a network manager the kind of benefit and the relief that he would be getting with a view of a technology which is literally on one screen today. So the whole life cycle of the network can be managed through this BNA process. And again, as I said, I mean, if there are more technical questions, I can handle this after this. The third part is the visibility factor. So when you take the whole Ethernet fabric and what we call VC as a virtual cluster switching, but it's about using multiple switches and clustering them all together and making sure that the whole switching pattern happens simultaneously. The important part about something like this is it gives you a single switch entity. So imagine it's like one mega switch which is managing zillions of switches together. Again, a whole set of new innovations that we're bringing into the market. Similar approach from a virtualization standpoint. How do you build and manage a virtualized network? And again, these are some of the examples that we're using, and here's a case study or a brief that we use about using fabric communication to link that back to a network and drive intelligence into the network. And a case study over that is a cloud provider which we used, and again, without deep diving in, again, as I said, it really helps organizations get into multiple level switching. If you really look at it, this is not even too complicated, but it really helps customers to get into a real detailed, complicated environment and manage them with this technology. And lastly, this is, as I said, one of the examples of literally a Lego box where the customer can use a compute through various hardware vendors, can use Brocade, can use a storage partner, link everything together and go to the environment in a data center virtualized mode, which is literally plug and play in terms of the various boxes. So it could be with Dell, it could be with Fujitsu, it could be with Hitachi, the whole gamut of technology that can be used, and we call it today the VCB or virtual compute blocks. So with that, just to kind of summarize, as I said, we're looking at a whole new flexible acquisition model for customers to use their networking services, and then we're launching a whole set of new innovative products which are coming to the market, which are going to help customers drive their switching needs and their routing needs in a high level of intelligent manner.